This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
You are listening to Lucha Afterground.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lucha Afterground, the premier Lucha Underground after show on the web. My name is Max, and joining me, as always, is
Travis. And I gotta say, it's now official. Like, it's not just us saying this, the premier Lucha Underground after show on the internet. We have a big announcement. I teased it on Twitter earlier today. Mr. Charlton, I know you were excited. Our fan. We love you, buddy. We love you.
That's right.
And we got some great news that we have been picked up by the Place to Be Nation podcast network. So that's huge, just in terms of people listening, more ears out there. It's huge in terms of recognition. That's like people are starting to realize that we are the premier Lucha Underground after show podcast. It's no longer.
Well, we have to be careful now, because before we were screaming into a vacuum about how we were the best. And now that we have the backing of the Place to Be Nation, if we say something, if we actually want to start a Twitter warfare, it might actually happen. So let's just be careful with our wording here.
Good point.
Now that we're in the ring.
Anyways, that's huge news for us. We were super thrilled. Big thanks to Chad and Brad from Place to Be Nation, but also huge thanks to Kelly Nelson for really putting us over there. And,
the Ken Burns of wrestling.
The Ken Burns of wrestling. He's the guy. We love him. We owe him. I was thinking about that. We'll talk about it off air about how we can repay our friend Kelly Nelson. I guess we'll do some quick plugs before we get into. We're happy to be back
at the end, man.
We do plugs at the end. Okay,
yeah,
okay. I like it. I like it. That's more.
Most people we haven't earned anybody's trust yet.
I like it. Good.
So here we are. What is Lucha Afterground? It's basically a reaction analysis of everything that happened in Lucha Underground earlier in the week. We basically go through every episode and talk about what happened, and we'll also give you guys a couple of. We'll chat about some of the news items that have occurred during the week as well. Lucha Underground related, always. Mm-hmm. So just on that note, before we dive into the first episode of Season 3, a couple of things I want to just bring to the table here. It looks like, according to the Wrestling Observer, the Lucha Underground talent has been contacted about possible live events in October 16th, San Diego, October 23rd in Phoenix, October 30th in Houston. This is why I bring it up, because I thought this was really interesting. And I'm quoting here word for word. One of the things holding the promotion back from running live events was that Lucha Underground wanted to run in venues that they could set up to look like the temple to keep the Lucha Underground experience.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's ideal. And I think this speaks to how the temple itself is sort of a character.
Yep.
Would you feel disappointed, Trav, if Lucha Underground came to Vancouver, let's say, where we're broadcasting from, and was going to do a house show out of Pacific Coliseum?
Sure. Whatever. Queen Elizabeth Theater.
Yes. Yeah. You know you're in Canada when...
Yeah.
Would that take some of the edge off?
If I knew that other places were getting the full temple treatment, sure. I love the idea. That sounds great.
Yeah.
You'd have to think about where the ideal location in Vancouver would be for that.
Some kind of warehouse.
But also, man, Canada's not even on their radar. We know that. They don't
Nobody
care.
speaks Spanish up here.
But also, they're not trying to make it more available to Canadians.
I know.
So I don't think it's nice. We might get a Seattle road trip at best, I think, is what we'd get out of this.
Right. No, that's fair. Yeah, it's funny. I looked at iTunes before the first episode started because I wanted to just give them my money. Like, I want to pay El Rey so I can watch season 3 in high def off my television. Was it available? No. Still, only season 1 is available on iTunes.
In Canada?
In Canada.
Oh, well, that's. I didn't even know season 1 was available in Canada.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm. We won't talk about how we watch the show.
Yes. We have friends.
All right, so that's. I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, actually, today we are recording this on Saturday, September 10th. This evening, at some sort of television conference, there is going to be an El Rey panel, and they have all the people, all of the producers from Lucha Underground.
Was that not yesterday? I saw some tweets. Is it the Paley Center in LA? Yeah, I saw some images. Someone looked beautiful. Want to take a guess?
Melissa Del Santos
looked stunning.
Oh, she was there?
Yes. It sounded really positive from what I read. Shit, I wish you would have given me a heads up. I could have given you a little more on that. I was reading about.
Good.
I think it was last night. So that would be Friday night. I definitely saw images. You're talking about Paley Center in Los Angeles, right? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I saw some images. Looks like they had maybe a half dozen chairs set up at the front. They probably watched, I'm going to guess, the premiere and then did the Q&A afterwards.
Right. Well, if no news came out of it, like I was looking for news, I can see how if it was just like a sales pitch or something, then that would.
I feel like there was some like the Joseph tidbits that people had quoted, and there was. We'll get back to you, folks. Like I'll see if I can maybe retweet them on it. We're trying to get the Twitter more active. If there is something of note, we'll put it up there. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Here we are, back for season 3.
Season 3.
What do you think right now? The chances are this is the final season.
40 episodes.
40.
I think this might be it. It sounds like. Again, we've done our best to avoid spoilers, but it sounds like there was lots of tears in that 40th episode. Like, it sounds like it's really emotional.
There has been a lot of rumors about Ricochet backing out of his Lucha Underground contract.
I think it's already done. I think he's done. But and that's a shame. But they got enough talent and enough talent out there to just keep adding if they wanted to. Certainly. I think. Maybe we'll know more after episode 20. I think we'll know if we haven't heard if there's going to be a season 4. I think we'll know by then as to like what direction, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
I'll tell you this, Trav. We recorded our thoughts all for season 2. We didn't start until season 2. We didn't do season 1. If this is the final season, let's continue the podcast and let's go back and revisit season 1.
I'm in. Of course.
I think that would be fun.
I like it.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into it. Do you want to lead us through?
Sure. Lucha Underground, season 3, episode 1. First sequence. Looks like we're in the penitentiary. What's the name of the city that this takes place in?
Boyle Heights.
Boyle Heights. Do you think Boyle Heights has a penitentiary?
Well, they have some sort of holding cell. I'm sure there's probably lots of petty crime going on.
In Boyle Heights. Dario's in prison doing chin-ups, which to me felt a little wrong.
Chin-ups?
Here's what he was chin-ups or pull-ups? I think they're called chin-ups.
Chin-up, you would have a bar.
There was a bar there.
No, he had put up his cot, and he was using the legs.
I thought he was using like the towel bar.
No, definitely his cot.
Okay, chin-ups or pull-ups, you guys let us know. So here's what I think. Like, it feels wrong. It feels... Because he was last time we saw him, the very last image we saw, he was smiling. This is no problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be in and out in a minute. Here's what I would have done right away here.
Oh, jeez.
I would have just had him on that smile, that same smile, open on that same smile of Dario, but maybe he's in the yard and people are working out behind him, and then this person comes to him. You know what I mean?
Well, extras cost money, Trav.
I guess.
Extras cost money.
I just like, it feels like he had to, and from all accounts, it's like when he says later to open up the temple, that as much time has passed now, maybe as viewers, we're supposed to think that whatever 3 months have passed.
Well, that is my question for you, is how much time do you think has passed between the end of Ultima Lucha Dos and now? Because things seem to pick up pretty quickly.
I would say real time. I think it's been 3 months. If it's like, it's time to open up the temple again, as he says to people. We'll get to that. I just think... for a guy who's supposed to have everything all sorted out, like it looks like why should he have to start working out at here? Like, were there 3 months of Dario behind behind, like, and getting a little involved? Like, hey, mamacita, somebody says to him. He's like, man, I got to get working. Like, he's kept that confidence on, don't worry, I'll be fine. But then, like, it's getting closer and closer to, like, that somebody's finding him of note.
I cannot envision a world where he is worried about being assaulted. I think he's nothing else to do, and he's a dangerous man. Okay. He murdered a man.
Yes.
He's murdered several people.
Sure.
And he's just practical. He's like, I'm here. What am I going to do?
I may have to murder another guy.
Let's keep myself in shape.
Okay. Hey, maybe I overthought it. But do you see my point there? Like, if this is the guy who's not worried about having to go and spend time in jail, that all of a sudden he's a comfortable prisoner.
Oh, well, I think he was comfortable. Well, I think we find that out later on when he's talking to Marty.
Yes, there is one thing.
He had been taken care of.
Yeah.
He met some pretty cool guys in prison.
Yeah, met some pretty cool guys. I think that was an interesting tease.
Yes.
We'll get to that. So then the guard comes in and tells him, you must have friends in high places. And Dario says, you have no idea. Or something like that.
Yeah, totally. It seems... I'm not sure if that was in reference to the guy in the limo later, Dr. Claw, or if that was in reference to Marty the Moth, or some sort of higher power.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like gods, like they're talking about gods
in the sky. Right. Yeah. It's true.
So he leaves. He goes to collect his stuff, and kablamo!
Yeah,
the honky tonk man. That is so awesome.
I know.
Wonderfully cast.
Perfect.
He's so good. They give him that one last little look after he walks by.
And you see the guitar in the background?
I didn't notice that.
Yes, you do.
That's even better.
Yeah.
So they've got 39 more episodes.
Are there going to be 39 more cameos?
Why not?
Well, are there 39 living legendary wrestlers?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Who are like dying for like a dollar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? I don't think I would be able to recognize a lot of them now. I know. Honky Tonk has a look.
Yeah.
Right? He's instantly recognizable.
Perfect. Like, he looked like a Tarantino / Rodriguez like character.
And he did a great job.
I thought he was awesome. Yeah.
You know what? He's an early contender for the. He's an early contender for the end of year award for best non Dario Cueto performance English language no makeup.
For those of you who are just joining us, please stick with us. We'll explain everything. Everything will be explained. So he takes him out. So a limo pulls up.
Hold up. Okay. We can't skip past this moment.
Okay.
One giant key.
He hands him his giant key. He doesn't say key. He says
one giant key. One giant key.
Yeah. One giant key. I loved it. I popped for that. I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
It was delivered with perfect comedic timing.
Yeah.
Honky Tonk Man, early contender. Nominated. I'm nominating him here.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's beautifully cast. That was great work. And if they can find, seriously, there's at least 20 of the 40 episodes, if they can find spots for some of these old legends.
I know. Who else would you throw in there?
Sabu was one I thought off the top of my head.
That would be really good. Terry Funk
easily.
Yeah.
Like, so many, man.
Totally.
So many. Booker T, he seems to have kind of an okay
Is he
thing.
allowed?
He does things that aren't involved with WWE. And dude, there are so many, like Ricky Morton,
you put
Bobby
JR in there.
Yeah.
Let's get JR in
JR
there.
would be perfect.
We could get I'm sure that there's just a million legendary
Haku?
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, there's a million legendary luchadors that we know nothing about that would resonate so much with that audience.
Yeah.
Okay. So continue. I just wanted to dwell for a second on
one giant key.
We can now proceed.
Yeah. So limo pulls up, and Lorenzo Lamas is back in there.
He shaved.
Yeah.
He shaved. He looks a lot older.
Does he?
Now that he shaved,
He looks shiny. He looked really tan, too.
Shiny maybe because he's sweating, because he's so nervous.
Of Dr.
He doesn't
Claw.
like being that close to Dr. Claw. I can't wait. They need to give that guy a name soon, because if you keep shooting him like that, he's just going to be known as Dr. Claw.
But here's the thing. Like, we see his claw. The guy warns him. So this is after Lamas says that the charges have been dropped. And it's like... Be careful, your next sentence will be a death sentence. And then we see this claw. But remember when he lit a cigar earlier?
Yeah.
It was like just a black glove. Was it the other hand?
No, that's a great
somebody
question.
else?
I think no, it's definitely the same person, the same character for sure. I think the metal sort of glove is new. They've added it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of his character.
Okay.
I think if they could go back in time, they would have added it then at the beginning.
Okay. So that's it. And that moves us inside the temple. And we see a rap punk band. What's not too crazy about that?
The Chimps.
Is that what they were called?
The Chimps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if they come back.
We should have a new end of year award for favorite band.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so right now,
Chimps
just by
are running
default,
away with
yeah,
it.
exactly.
And I already said I wasn't pleased about it. And that brings us to our newest episode of Man in the Wedge. I gotta get that wedge. So, for our new listeners, it should be noted that every time we enter the temple, you see a two-shot Vampiro and Matt Stryker introducing us to the temple, but there is always someone in between them, right in the middle there. And we refer to them as the man in the wedge. There are times when it has been a woman in the wedge. There are times when it's kind of been like, oh, could it be this person? Like that kind of falls in the middle. But today there was a definite man in the wedge. I'm looking at him right now. Can you play it a little bit, like a little further? Okay, I'm going to say, at first I was going to say racially ambiguous, but probably Latino.
Travis is obsessed with race, by the way,
was just
as you'll learn. Obsessed with race.
Anyways, he's a big guy. He's a big guy. Like, imagine, so let's say if he is Asian, let's say he was the kid from Up. And you know, right after Up finished, his mom took him back to his house and said, "You are never leaving the house again."
That's a little cruel.
And he just stuck around and just started watching Lucha. That's all he did, and he got heavy until finally he was like, eventually, "Mom, can we go to Lucha Underground?"
This is too cruel. What
But
who
look,
are you?
The reason why I'm saying this is because it looks like he's brought his mom just to his left.
No.
Yes, there's an older lady just to his left.
No. This is out of character for you, Trav.
What?
It's not out of character for you to be obsessed with race. But it is
To be like...
you're just slagging this poor guy.
I think he's a fun guy. I think I'm just trying to create a narrative for what brought him here to Lucha Underground.
He's enthusiastic.
He's wearing a Lucha Underground t-shirt.
Well, I think
He's really enthusiastic.
he is married as well, so he's not that big of a loser.
Okay.
You can see his wedding ring as plain as day.
All right.
Anyway, so let's just say let's refer to him as the kid from Up.
The kid from Up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All grown up.
Okay.
The kid from Up, all grown up.
The kid from Up, all grown up.
I'm gonna write that down.
The first man in the wedge. So, and here's the what we learned over last season. One of the real reasons we've started using man in the wedge, we've learned that it's kind of it gauges the time cycles for when they shoot these episodes. So every time they're in the temple, they tend to shoot 3 or 4 at a time. Usually, you'll see the same 3 or the same man in the wedge over those 3 to 4 episodes. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. So we can we use the man in the wedge to tell where they are in a shooting cycle. So obviously right now it's not all that useful, but if we see the kid from Up all grown up 3 times in a row, on the 3rd time we'll probably guess that this is probably the end of the day shooting. Guys may have worked once or twice already.
Yeah.
Things might not be as crisp.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a good.
It's
scale.
basically it's the only thing we've ever contributed to Lucha Underground. That's right.
Analysis.
That's right. But we're proud of it, damn it.
That's right. That's right.
So we have the kid from Up, all grown up. He's our first man in the wedge. Mark it on your
man in the wedge charts.
Yes, that's right.
We'll be sending those out, the official ones, shortly. So Dario welcomes us back, and right away he announces Ray versus Pentagon, which is great. Great main event. So he talks about how Pentagon was great. He was really happy about how he bled Vampiro like a pig.
I thought this was so weird.
And then tried to make a pig noise, but didn't quite work on the mic. It was like he couldn't quite do it, and then changed it to oink, 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 and extended. So this is Like we've thought Dario's been perfect up to this point. We've learned that his
Pig sounds
on the microphone in the temple are not the best. He had to call an audible on the fly.
That's right. But I think he came out okay.
Me too.
Yeah, he just needs to...
I laughed a lot. I thought it was
me
hilarious.
too. I thought it was mean-spirited for Dario to do that.
Yes.
He's not. I mean, Dario is not a kind man.
No.
But he doesn't take pleasure in like petty.
He was really
things.
picking a fight.
He really was. Yeah. It was. I don't know what's going on there. It seems a little weird.
So, and then he goes outside. He introduces us to and I quote, a new concept. And it's Dario's Dial of Doom. Max, what did you think?
Dario's Dial of Doom.
I have a feeling we'll be using that for the weeks to come.
Dario's Dial of Doom.
I am totally cool with the Dial of Doom. I'm cool calling it the Dial of Doom. I love the concept. I think it's great. I think it will bring some fun booking, and it will have a way to get some people involved in the matches in the show off the top of the season that maybe don't have a meaty storyline until midway through the season or near the end of the season, stuff like that. So I think it works.
Yeah.
The thing I'm just like a little like is it looked a little too profesh for me.
Yeah.
I would like to see a Dial of Doom that looked like it was
made out of bones.
I mean, it's just it was neither here nor there. Either make it like Dario handcrafted it himself or got some cronies to make it. They're not going to be good crafters, right? Yeah. They're not going to be good fabricators of props. Yes. So it looked like it was a well fabricated prop.
Yeah.
Or you go the other way, make it extreme, make it huge and big and weird, bones, that kind of stuff. Either one of those would work for me. This one in the middle felt a little bit too much like television show, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit.
See, I was a little more put off by the idea of it as a gimmick because I've seen it so many times in bad WWE storylines when it's just lazy. Yeah, man. When they bring out a spinning wheel, it's just like... Here we go.
But in WWE, when they had used it before, if they're shooting that stuff live, they wouldn't be able to manipulate who actually...
I think they still found ways. And I think that... I would imagine they're still doing that with this.
Oh, of course. Yeah, if you look at the way that sequence was
and
cut.
the way it cut to it.
Yeah, like it was definitely meant to be some havoc.
So in a way, from a writing standpoint, it's kind of lazy too, I think.
Well, we'll see where it goes.
My initial thing when he unveiled it, I was like, because I have bad associations with wheels. If you've watched a lot of
I have bad associations
on wrestling, wheels and wrestling, every time one comes up, it's always like, is this going to be a table match? Is it going to be a street fight? And this goes back to like the early to mid aughts, man, when Bischoff was in charge and things like that. The Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't have those negative feelings. I have been watching wrestling for 2 years. I don't. I have enough faith in. For me, it makes sense when you're trying to plot out a 40 episode season. I definitely didn't like the look of it though.
Okay,
that's me. Did you take a look at all the names on?
I saw Dr. Wagner.
Dr. Wagner Jr.
Who else?
Everybody that you would imagine, except for there was one surprise on there. And I hope, because it's so glaring, that it means we're going to see this match happen.
Bengala?
Not Bengala. Could you imagine? We're huge Bengala marks at Lucha Afterground. If you're listening to this, and in a future episode Bengala shows up, you best tune in.
Yes.
You best tune in to Lucha Afterground.
Yeah.
It'll be all Bengala talk.
Yeah.
I want to do a special ep, just Bengala. No, the name on it was Mariposa.
Yeah, I did see that one.
That would be weird, man.
Yeah.
I am on board.
Okay.
I am on board.
Yeah, Mariposa Matanza.
Mariposa versus Matanza. Let's see it. I want to see it. And because I have always felt that Mariposa, all of her matches, I have never had a connection with her at all.
Me neither.
And seeing her thrust into a championship match against Matanza, Alex Cobb, the guy who plays Matanza...
Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb, sorry, thanks. Who is so... he puts together good matches.
Yeah.
But good matches.
Yeah,
so let's
athletic.
see a good match with Mariposa. Make me feel something. I love the No Moss match, but that was all Sexy Star.
Yeah.
And anyways. So We have Mary posted. That's a potential matchup coming soon.
All right, so that brings us to our first match, which is Matanza versus Son of Havoc, and then we hear a new soundboard entry. He was really losing it there.
He's pumped to be back.
Yeah. He's really like I think Dario was given a little more than he needed to this first premiere. I think he got a little too hyped up.
Yeah,
he's always great. I mean, we're not going to like it's always nitpicky with him. It's like an A instead of an A plus performance. Kind of
true.
Thing.
So true.
But I think he was trying to do a little too much, bringing it back.
Mm-hmm. Also, just on this, before we get into the match itself, Melissa, the ring announcer, looking pretty buff.
Yeah.
She's got some guns suddenly.
Yeah.
Maybe entering the ring.
Huh?
Is she training?
I don't. Not that I've heard of.
Just keeping fit.
Not that I've heard of.
Yeah, okay. She likes to specialize. That's fine.
So when this match started, I thought to myself, I really hope for a happy Son of Havoc story this season. Like something good happens for him.
Yeah. Well, I don't think... Who has had a happy story? Nobody.
That's a good question. Sexy Star, things have gotten better for her.
That's
you have
true.
to have a fall before a rise.
That's true. The Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really have a story, but he was a good guy, and he won.
Yeah, but everyone's kind of trending in different directions along their ways, right? Like things are looking great for. Oh no, they lost the belts. Lucha Worldwide.
Worldwide Underground.
Worldwide Underground. Yeah, but I mean, like things are still going well for them, and like the guys who beat them, you should say that they're in a happy spot.
That's true.
Okay, so Vampiro knows about Matanza's story here. He mentions that he's a guy who's been locked up in a cage. Like, what would you be like if yada, yada, yada?
Oh, did he really?
Yes. That feels like it doesn't match.
Yeah.
Like if he's a commentator. But then we see him as a character backstage later, so maybe it's okay with him. Like, should
Is it
Stryker
just
have been
common
like,
knowledge?
what the hell are you talking about?
Maybe everybody there just knows. Yeah, Dario
Matanza's
keeps his brother in his cage.
That's what that key is.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, man. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
if that's true, I prefer it always when the Matt Striker and Vampiro, they don't know what's going on. They are unaware of what's been happening in the background.
Yeah, and I think it still exists to some extent. I think this is just a weird kind of maybe a flub, maybe this is just one of those things that kind of spills over, like you said.
Or maybe it's like, okay, here we are, season 3. We have to give some kind of exposition from a television production standpoint.
Sure, all of these are possibilities.
Yeah, still, you don't have to like it.
So it was good. This was a really good match. I liked it. Son of Havoc dropped that great kind of outside stalled elbow where he kind of hangs from thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't move. You know what I love about Son of Havoc is that he has such a wide arsenal of maneuvers, and he doesn't use all his best stuff every time.
No,
only when it's
different. Yeah, he had a really nice offensive sequence that led to a near fall. That led to Dario because he got a good shine early. Son of Havoc, and you hear Dario kind of do Matanza, what's going on? Like this is like he's actually legit kind of worried. Matanza takes over again easily, so it's keeping him strong. Hits those 2 standing moonsaults. I think the third one or the second one kind of missed a little bit, got just enough.
But the announcer sold it as a headbutt. Yeah. And even Cobb, he stands up. Matanza, when he stands up, he like kind of smacked his head. He's like, it was a headbutt.
Yeah, good pros, good work.
Yeah.
Son of Havoc holds on to a good chokehold for a while. Matanza has to go to the outside. Son of Havoc looked great here.
Totally. I had moments where I was like,
is he going to win? Can you imagine they open with...
I know. Well, I was like maybe, it's possible. It's possible. To keep you on your toes.
He's been such a workworkhorse. So like if that's the kind of thing they reward, then this is the guy that you would. So I
thought this match was super crisp.
Yeah,
there was really very little in this that looked sloppy or any miscues. They may have been protected by editing a little bit for sure.
So one spot that really stood out to me was like that kind of stomp off the top where he stomped onto him and then a moonsault off of that. And then he got kicked out. Like Matanza pushed him up, but as he was pushed up in midair, he landed into the armbar. Do you remember that? So it was into a submission.
Yes,
I'd never seen that before. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah. And then Matanza reverses or grabs. That's when he
picks him up
by the armbar and slams him. That was awesome.
Yeah,
it was very cool. One thing that listen, I love Lucha Underground, and I have very little negative things to say about this episode overall. I thought it was very good. one thing that bothered me from a production standpoint here is that during a lot of the shots in this match especially, you could see that it was daylight outside. And that totally changed everything for me, because now these guys are fighting like in the afternoon.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
you're just seeing shots of like the windows and stuff.
Yeah, windows, and there's bright white light coming in, and in that amount of light, like even the cameras, everything about the way it was shot kind of felt a little different. And I wouldn't be surprised if that has something to do with like the light spectrum being, including that daylight coming in.
Interesting.
And it really took me out of it, honestly, because Matanza is not the type of character that should ever be in daylight.
At a Starbucks before he goes to the temple.
And Lucha Underground is not a show that should ever be existing during the day. Maybe in a vignette when PJ Black is beating up somebody in the motel or whatever. That's fine. But matches do not happen during the day. It's an underground fight league. It should be at night.
I see your point.
Black out the windows. Out the windows. And so as soon as I realized it was day, it was just like, man, I had a hard time sort of like latching back into the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That didn't really affect my enjoyment here. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a really nice opener. Son of Havoc and Matanza both look stronger after this match, and that's what you want with especially and a good like kind of reel everybody in for the new season. Yeah, it was good
for sure. I went back. I watched the second time I watched the episode. I appreciated the match way more than I did the first time, because I just couldn't get over the light. But it's a great match. It stands on its own for wrestling fans. Definitely check it out.
For me, it is a happy memory.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Voice of Ring of Honor's Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you're subscribed to all of our great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. Just head to iTunes today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be podcast feed, the PWO PTBN feed, PTBN Pop, and of course the Kevin Kelly Show feed, which includes the full archives of my podcast. Some really great stuff. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. Thanks for being a fan of professional wrestling. More importantly, thanks for being a fan and supporter of the Place to Be Nation.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero here. In addition to the archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. And we now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the Place to Be podcast feed, you can check out Scott Criscolo and me on the Mothership, the Place to Be podcast, with our famous Vintage Vault pay-per-view reviews. PTBN also covers current day wrestling with clotheslines and headlines, main event, Mission Indie Possible, in our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows with immediate feedback on WWE, NXT, and Ring of Honor Super shows. Relive wrestling's past with our monthly pay-per-view rewind series led by Ben Morse, and the Dangerous Alliance Wrestling podcast as we dive into various subjects in the form of exercises and games. All of this in addition to Scott Keith's Podcast of Doom, which includes discussions on questions from listeners, as well as current day and old school wrestling. We also have sports covered too with the Sports Lounge, the TJ McClune Show, and NBA Team Podcast. On our brand new PTB Pop podcast feed, we offer great shows such as the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Rank and File, Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the hard-traveling fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversation, and Imaginary Stories. Subscribe to both feeds on iTunes and be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows are available on PlayStation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus tournaments and more. Be sure to check out on the right-hand side of the site for details on how to support the site when you shop at Amazon and download our free Place to Be Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, and Scott Keith's Blog of Doom. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
This is Parv, and I'm here to tell you to listen and subscribe to the Pro Wrestling Only Place to Be Nation podcast network. That's the PWO PTBN podcast network, where you'll find a ton of in-depth shows done by hardcore fans. We've got Chris Zellner's 1-2 punch of Exile on Bad Street, and with David Bickenspan, a smash hit Between the Sheets. We've got Wrestling Culture with Dylan Hales and Dave Musgrave, Goodwill Wrestling and the reaction shows with Good Old Will from Texas. We got This Week in Wrestling with my man Pete and Johnny Sorrow, Stephen Graham and Tim Livingston's Pro Wrestling Super Show, Tag Teams Back Again with Kelly and Marty Sleaze, and a ton of other great shows too. And of course there's Titans of Wrestling and Where the Big Boys Play with yours truly and some dude from down south called Chad. PWO PTBN Podcast Network.
Our next scene, Worldwide Universe enters Dario...
Worldwide
Underground. Jesus Christ. Worldwide Underground enters Dario Cueto's office. Johnny Mundo wants a title match. He mentions... oh, yeah, that is pretty bright now that Max is showing me a screenshot.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted Travis to see the bright lights. I mean, it's just like it's the middle of the day. It's 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So they mention Angelico, and it goes to this graphic flashback
oh my God.
of them just beating the crap out of him. And it is awesome. It was so awesome when Johnny Mundo pulls up and gets out with no shirt on and an American flag scarf and a headband, and he says,
here we go, because this is up for debate what he says exactly.
Okay.
Because I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
I thought I knew what he said until I put it into the soundboard. Okay, here it is.
Welcome to Slamtown, you pasty string bean.
He's saying, welcome to Slamtown, you pasty string bean.
Pasty.
But here's what I think is initially he said piece of shit. And they probably learned you've already got nuts in this word, and the FCC you need to change it, because pasty string bean sounds to me like a really bad like overdub on like Police Academy movies from the 80s and stuff. I remember. So they're like. You remember when when they've had to overdub for like edit for TV? For television, there's a really famous one for. That killed me when I was a kid in Police Academy when Tackleberry says, "Please, before I blow your goddamn balls off, asshole."
Yeah.
And they changed it to "Freeze before I blow your gosh darn knees off, egg roll."
Egg roll.
So this one, piece of shit to pasty string bean.
Let's see. Let's listen.
Welcome to Slamtown, you pasty string bean.
It's so good.
Pasty string. It does fit because he is a pasty string bean.
At our end of year awards, at the end of season 2. End of season awards, we gave Johnny Mundo he was our number two
behind
performance, performer of the year, and this is reasons why.
Welcome to Slamtown, you pasty string bean.
It's so good,
and just the way he looked.
Slamtown, you pasty string bean.
When he got out of that car, just with just a scarf and no shirt, it was so funny.
You know what was weird? This whole sequence. So the stuff in Dario's office, then the flashback, then back to Dario's office. Jack Evans doesn't say a word.
Yeah. I love the way Jack Evans looks, so man. He looks like a skid that smells like wet weed and cigarettes. Do you know what I mean? It's so good for him.
It's perfect.
Like he just looks like I know that kid. I've seen him loitering outside of like convenience stores, you know.
I really liked what they actually tried to give PJ Black some personality.
Yeah, slam it down.
He hits
out with that extra
just repeating the words like that. I thought that was cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad that's happening because PJ Black has just faded so much into the background.
It's good.
And it's hard not to when you're standing next to Johnny Mundo and Jack Evans. Those guys are so just like they command attention. Yeah, they command so much attention. I'm glad that they recognize.
Yeah. So this shot shows that they this flashback shows that they slammed Angelico's leg in the car door. Cuts back to Dario laughing.
That was pretty extreme.
Yeah, it was pretty graphic.
Yeah.
And then so Dario says, "No, you don't get it. You lost your last match, but Taya won, so she gets a match against Sexy Star for the Gift of the Gods."
Makes actual sense.
Yep.
Makes total actual sense.
Good stuff.
Yep.
And then we cut to in-ring, and Ivelisse cuts a pretty good promo. Challenges, but here's what I thought was weird. Why are you challenging Katrina to something that's going to happen 39 episodes from now?
I know, I don't get it either. That's what I have here. Weird booking. No. Yeah. Weird booking. I thought that Ivelisse's promo was great. I thought Katrina's was good too. They were short, they were sweet, they used really strong language, they didn't use feminine language. I'm going to crush her skull into the ground. I'm going to kill you, bitch.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was heavy. You could even, when they cut to crowd reactions, you could see people in the crowd looking at each other like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is pretty serious.
Yeah.
They didn't try to put any sort of like feminine stamp on it in any way other than maybe, using the B word, but whatever. But it is a weird thing to have done because to book this match 40 episodes out, and now what?
Yeah.
So now what happens? I'm not saying they don't have a plan. I'm not saying this could be part of something bigger, and we'll see. But it seems weird.
Yeah, I think the real reason is Katrina's not ready to go right into the ring right away, and I think it took a while to get her ready for like a Black Lotus style
situation
match.
But why?
why mention it in the first episode? You could have just been building up to it throughout this kind of thing. Like, hey, you fucked me over in Ultima Lucha Dos.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada.
Oh, should we be careful about the F-bombs?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We'll find out.
I guess we will.
So that gives us to the next match, Taya versus Sexy Star. And they mentioned the From Dusk Till Dawn brothers watching in the crowd.
I had a huge problem with this.
Yeah, this was the first kind of like, it looks starting to feel like the way WWE promotes their shit.
Yeah.
But and I know it's El Rey Network, so I guess it makes it kind of more forgivable to cross promote. Yeah.
No, man, I got to tell you, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because we talked about this previously, but the Lucha Underground does have one glaring like kayfabe problem, and that is this an underground fight club? If so, why are there TV cameras?
Yes.
And anytime that they draw attention to that, it does not work in their favor.
Good.
And so when they cut to like, oh, look it's these guys, the stars of the El Rey show, blah 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 blah, which is directed by this person, and it's on the same network. It's like, you should not be mentioning the network. You should not be mentioning the network. You should not be mentioning television programming. You should not be ever talking about the cameras. Yeah, sometimes you can catch them in a glimpse here or there. That's fine, but don't ever bring attention to it. It's incongruous. Absolutely, it's like the daylight. Yeah. It's the same thing with the daylight. It's the same thing with like a fabricated prop on the thing. The Dario style of doom. Yeah, it's too much like a television program, right? And you're right. They're leaning more towards WWE style wrestling production when they do that, and they fail when they do. Yeah, they need to stay away from it.
Yeah, agreed. It needs to be its own like contained universe where you. Because if you're going to set up something where you're encountering luchadors on the street, you can't have the stars of Dusk Till Dawn from your same network showing up in the audience,
or have them show up in character.
Yes, if they were in character, that would be okay.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Did they call them by the actors' names or by the? That would be pretty awesome if it all took place in the same universe.
I think they may have done both. They said, there it is, the Gecko brothers, this guy and this guy.
Okay, so let's get to this match. Good heat in the early locks between the two, even though those headlocks went on for a while.
What match were we talking about?
Taya and Sexy Star.
Okay.
Taya has...
They didn't get... You know what I noticed before we even start? They didn't get intros.
No.
They were just in the ring.
Probably trying to keep things moving. Taya has really nice offense and technique we've talked about. And after a bit of a back and forth, Worldwide Underground gets involved and ends up costing Taya the match. And then they began a beatdown on Sexy Star, and it's pretty relentless. The first kick to the stomach was kind
when
of like,
Johnny Mundo kicks Sexy Star, the crowd is just like, what? They're so angry. Yeah. They're getting insane heat from doing that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the Trios champs come out to help everybody out for the save.
And the Trios champs being Phoenix, Drago, and Aerostar. Aerostar had gray gear.
I didn't notice.
It
happened so quick.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. Drago was in his standard black.
Standard black?
I was looking into it.
But that's all he's ever worn, right?
No, that's a great question.
Really?
He's actually has had several different iterations. He started with blue.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
And then he had a single. He wore red once.
Red once.
That's right. And then he went to black.
Black. That's what I know him by.
Yes, for sure. But he has made an appearance in a white number.
Oh yeah.
And then
it's ringing a bell.
He has had a white and purple sort of like aquamarine, sort of like underwater Drago version.
Right.
And now here we are back to black.
So there've been a few.
There's been a few. That's right.
Okay. So next scene is in Dario Cueto's office.
Wait. What
okay.
are you doing?
Oh, you want to talk about this match?
I got stuff to talk about.
Okay, yeah. Tell me what you thought. Like, I mean, it was to me, I thought it was pretty straightforward. Taya helped as much as she can. I think Sexy Star is looking better.
I thought it looked great.
She's athletic.
Yeah. I thought there was good storytelling, that they were sort of uneven. They were even, at first. And the reason why Sexy Star got the upper hand on Taya is because of the interference from Johnny Mundo.
Yeah. It told a fine story. It advanced things. I think Taya and them should have a falling out at some point.
Oh yeah. Well, I was wondering if they were going to tease that with this, but it didn't quite seem as blatant as I expected. One thing I do want to mention, that during this match, Vampiro and Matt Striker they make a reference to Vampiro's, like they're talking about going hold for hold or like some reversal or something.
Oh, and Misawa, like that was on something else.
No, yeah, Vampiro's mentions he's like, oh, it's just like Johnny Smith.
Smith
in this something. And even when I heard that, I was like, oh, he must mean Johnny Saint.
No.
And then that's what Stryker says. Stryker tries to correct him and says, oh, you mean Johnny Saint. And Vampiro stands his ground. He's like, no,
his
Johnny Smith, All Japan Pro Wrestling, blah, 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 blah. I've never
heard of Johnny Smith?
No, I've never heard of... It's true, I've never heard of Johnny Smith, but I've never heard Vampiro bust out something such obscure wrestling
knowledge. That was really good.
Before.
That was both back and forth, two guys talking that kind of hardcore.
Totally.
They thought he was talking about a World of Sport guy, but really he was talking about a guy who was in All Japan and also was in Stampede Wrestling.
For
quite a while, yeah.
Oh, nice.
He had a legendary feud with Owen Hart. Kelly and I were trying to figure out... Kelly Nelson, the Ken Burns of Wrestling. On our Stampede show, that he was pushed as we thought it might have been kayfabe. He was cousins with Davey Boy Smith because they kind of looked alike, but he thinks that they might have been legit cousins.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Johnny
Sorry,
Smith.
I just wanted.
He was a really good heel. He always called Owen Omar Punk, or Omar Hart, you little punk. Omar.
Yeah, this was my favorite part of the whole
episode.
No, not the whole episode, but this is my favorite Vampiro Matt Stryker moment of the episode.
Yeah, I liked it too. Felt like two legit buds having a conversation about wrestling.
And it felt like they were actual experts. And now it helps you understand why they are there doing this job. They're not just two random guys.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah.
Oh, the other thing I want to talk about is. When Phoenix, Aerostar, and Drago make the save, Phoenix is wearing a merch shirt for Phoenix.
Yeah, that's the one that I wanted. I had seen it a while ago. I found it on like eBay a while ago, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere else. I think it's through AAA.
Damn,
yeah, I love it.
It's a blue and white.
Shit. Now we both got our eyes on the race is on, pal.
Ooh, a nice subplot for the season. Yeah. Who can get their hands on Phoenix's shirt first? Well, if anybody wants to send me one,
or me,
yeah, that's right. You can throw us a private message on Twitter, and we'll communicate.
It sounds good. All right, can we go to this next scene?
Yes,
I'm Dario's office.
I'm done.
So Dario's on the phone. This was really good. We don't know who he's talking to. He's like, it wasn't that bad. There are a lot of really cool guys.
Yeah. And I wonder, are we going to have, when they introduce some new talent, are these going to be people that Dario met in prison? It's an easy in.
And are they like masters of the weather? Like they're good with snow? That's why I called them cool guys.
Give me a break.
He's not Canadian. He's from Alberta.
I know. That was just idiotic. So enter Marty the Moth. And he said, I hope you gave you presents. You got my presents on the inside. At first, I wasn't sure if he meant presents, like gifts, or like a presence, like I've been able to talk gifts. To the. And later, he it's kind of cleared up at the end because Dario thanks him for his family's generosity. And he says, "Be ready for war." The second time they brought up war in the last, going back to the second season. He mentions Kill Shot. They're going to have a no holds barred match.
Oh, I believe it's called the Weapons of Mass Destruction.
Okay, cool.
And what's interesting is that Dario is talking about how this has never happened before, a Weapons of Mass Destruction match, and that anything goes. But it's isn't it just a no holds barred match? In Lucha Dos, we had Cage versus the Mac. And didn't they use all sorts of wacky weapons?
Yes.
Well, it kind of feels like it's... you can put a new label on, but you have done it before.
There's different kinds of stipulations that kind of mean it's the same thing.
If Killshot was ever going to pull out a gun and actually shoot someone, this would be the match.
This is the one. He's like, we don't know where he is. He's just hiding from the sniper.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Across the street.
You could do it. Oh, from out the building, not even in the temple.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so good. And that would give it a good excuse to bring the cops back into things. Because I don't know. Do you think we're going to see the cops again?
They
arrested Dario.
And then they sold them. Wait, were they arrested by... they don't... Dario doesn't necessarily know that Joey Ryan and Cortez are undercover, right?
Good point.
Good point. I think they've kind of teased it on their Twitter too.
Good. Good. Well, I'm glad they're back.
Yeah. So Marty the Moth has a really an extended freak out at the end. Do you remember this? It just kind of went on for a while, like bang bang his head, and
he's crazy.
Yeah, I thought I liked him more in this than I have before in some of his vignettes.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good actor in playing that kind of what they're putting in front of him.
It's not easy to do.
No,
it's not easy to do. He's doing it. He's doing it well. I would like to see a new layer to his character though at some point here.
I think they can do something if they tease the affluence that he has.
Yeah, totally.
So this brings us to our main event, which is Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Pentagon Dark, which is a great main event. I kind of wish that maybe they would have held it off. I know you need something big for the opener here, but there's really no reason for these two to be fighting. There could have been some real heat here, and maybe we'll get to it again later. But
the rematch is definitely possible.
Yeah.
I thought it was good work overall by everybody.
Me too.
Pentagon Dark.
I take back what I said in our finale. He does know how to work a good match. He really does. He really does.
That's what I was about to say too. That we had settled on the fact that I think we were just so disappointed with his in that final match in Ultima Lucha Dos that we may have been our judgment may have been a little clouded. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed this match. I knew what was going on. It's all very clear. It's true that his moves, his moveset is simple. Mm-hmm. He does have a simple moveset, but he knows how to work it, man.
Yeah, big time.
He's pretty much just chops and kicks.
Yeah,
and then he pulls out a small package pile driver, and that's kind of what he does.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
It sounds like he tagged with Phoenix at the Battle of Los Angeles.
Yes, and Phoenix had Pentagon gear.
So cool.
That would be pretty dope. I wonder if that's what they're rolling as right now in AAA.
Yeah,
we'll look into that.
Yeah.
I would like to see some AAA stuff.
So that was cool. Ray was wearing the mask of his uncle. They pointed that out.
Yeah.
Horse. It was really cool.
I thought that was super dope.
Ray's tattoos look insane. I don't know if that's new, or maybe is he always wearing like a longer shirt, or like he's usually covered? He was just in like a kind of a.
He was usually wearing like a sleeveless like vest type thing.
Yeah, those are intense though.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I could tell already early in this match that I was wrong about Pentagon Dark, the thing I had said before. He did that chest stomp that looked really harsh. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Really good heat in the crowd, just because these guys are so over. One's beloved, and one's like probably the most over in the temple. I think we've talked about Pentagon.
Yeah, totally.
Top rope Rana was great. Really good pace early. Not fast, but the right pace for the room. Like, you can tell these guys just understand how to work this crowd.
I'm with you.
Some great stuff on the floor from both. A nasty tuck driver from Pentagon Dark out of nowhere.
Which Ray kicks out of.
Yeah.
That's his finisher.
Yeah.
So this puts... and then... We'll continue with the match because I want to talk about the aftermath and what this means.
Yeah, there was just a nice counter. He missed the first 619. He hit kind of what looked like a sideways code breaker. I'm talking about Rey Mysterio right now. Vamp addresses, this was a good story arc throughout this, is Vampiro addressing that Pentagon wasn't hooking the leg because he doesn't have his thing anymore. It happens a second time. And after the second time it happened, it was as though Pentagon had been hearing him bitching about him and goes right out to him and is right in his face, like, what's your problem? And this ends up being the reason why was enough of a distraction for Ray to hit the 619 and an awesome sunset flip pile driver from off the top. A bit of a wonky finish. I thought when it went outside, it kind of slowed the actual momentum of the match, but it made sense storyline-wise. I still gave it 3 stars because these guys are great. Post-match, Pentagon goes to break Ray's arm and is saved by Dragon Azteca Jr.
Right.
Which was fine. You know what I would have really liked is for Puma to come out to save him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But and this makes sense because he's his mentor.
It gives everybody something to do next. So Pentagon loses. So now we have the final episode of last season, this huge build up to Pentagon coming back, and he loses. And the first episode of this season against Rey Mysterio, and Pentagon loses. So what are we gonna do with Pentagon? It seems so strange to me that you would have him not be the title holder right now.
Or just coming out looking strong.
Yeah.
I think, this is the start of his struggle. It could be.
Yeah.
Like they should have plans for him. They're not going to... This isn't a guy that they've just kind of, and we'll figure things out with Pentagon. He's not just like a plug out there. He's not Bengala. Not that Bengala's a plug. We think he is.
Definitely underutilized. It's just weird. It puts him in such a weird spot. Pentagon. I just don't know.
We'll see.
To have him lose 2 matches clean in a row.
Mm-hmm. But he did break those two arms before that match, so he's still somewhat of a scary dude.
Yeah, I suppose so. He's still relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Just
we'll see. I think it's one episode. We'll see where things go.
I mean, I'm assuming we're going to see him versus Dragon Azteca Jr. That would be his next match.
That makes sense. Yeah,
right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was that. It goes to the very last segment. Puma. We see Prince Puma reliving his match with Rey Mysterio. It's haunting him. Vampiro enters wearing glasses because he has left earlier. I wonder if this is supposed to be he's just walked out and then found. Remember, he left the table and just happened to see him on the way out here. He's like, "Oh, you're feeling down too, pal."
Yeah.
So, he offers him guidance. He says he's not the same since he's lost to Mil Muertes, which was a while back.
Oh, it was season 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He says you need to take him out. He's like, I thought you'd, and he said, and Puma's like, I thought you'd be wanting me to take Pentagon out after what's happened. He's like, no, this is all about you. That's the last thing he says, which is interesting.
It is, yeah.
Because we know that this is it for Prince Puma in the this season. Is the
well, we don't. The interesting thing about the character of Prince Puma is that character is owned by Lucha Underground. So it's definitely possible that somebody else. I know, but in the same way that, Rey Mysterio Jr., Pentagon Jr., people hand down the mask, right? So you could
Prince Puma Jr.
There could be a Prince Puma Jr. at some point, or they could just try to pull a fast one and be like, "This is Prince Puma. This has been Prince Puma the whole time, guys. This is a television show. Actors change, right?" And I would accept that if the performer was up to snuff. If you put Matt Sydal on there,
maybe Sydal. Okay. That's a good point.
Maybe okay.
Yeah, there's a couple. Will Ospreay.
Oh my god. Shit. I mean, I'm down.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair for us to assume that just because Ricochet is likely leaving the company, likely leaving the program, that does not necessarily mean that the character is done for. Right.
I will say that I hope it is, though. I would prefer the character is done for.
Just see him have something tied up and then sort of completed there. It would be nice to have some sense of finality, because there isn't a lot of that in wrestling. They're just ever.
No.
So that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd be down if they do it right. And not just they just doesn't start, he's just gone, like Dark Claw or whatever that guy's name is. He's never coming back. He's got the coolest gear, coolest look, coolest moves. You get one match and then he's gone forever. What kind of bullshit is this?
Yeah, it's a shame. Oh, well.
Dark Claw.
What's he up to these days? Dark Claw
or Night Claw?
Where for art, though? Night Claw.
Whoever is.
One of them was the amalgamation of Marvel and DC. It's Batman and Wolverine. The other one is a Lucha Underground wrestler.
That's right.
Or somewhere else. Yeah, former Lucha Underground wrestler. So overall, it was a pretty good open, pretty good premiere, but it did, I think, give weight to my belief that season 2 was a transitional season, because this, even though this felt like the start, it was really just taken from where we've left off in a lot of ways.
Yeah. There wasn't that sense of excitement at the start of the season. When season 2 started, I was like chomping at the bit, man. I was so pumped.
There was a longer break, and and it was more of like a full kind of restart kind of thing. And this was just kind of a little bit of a break and previously on Lucha Underground kind of thing.
Yeah, I really just kind of felt like the story is continuing. I think they might have been better served with a longer time, or maybe even coming back and have Dario still be in jail. Maybe Dario's not around yet. Somebody else has taken over for a bit. Black Lotus maybe books a few matches or something. That'd be weird, right?
That would be weird.
Yeah. So something like that, and that teases so we get excited for Dario's return. Something like that. Man, you know what I'm pumped for? Aztec Warfare 3. Yeah, that is gonna be hot.
Yeah,
hot.
Yes. Very much so.
I love it. All right. So actually, I have the the TV guide preview line
next week.
For what happens next week. So I just want to run this past.
Okay. Why don't I get in the plugs before you do that?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
So yes, I am still working on the Titans of Wrestling Stampede Territory podcast here on Place to Be Nation with Kelly Nelson. We are about to, I think sometime this week, we're hoping to record episode number 4, where we're finally going to look at the Stampede Wrestling footage that was on the network for like 4 days. It's 6 episodes. We're going to look at the first 3. It's really good. After looking back at it, I thought it was an even, but going back, at least that first episode is action packed, man.
How did you get that footage?
It's out there. It's out there. Everything's out there, man. That was a really cool thing with those hidden gems that the network just dropped.
Yeah.
I think Kelly and I will probably talk about this. There's a Gino Morella Gorilla Monsoon match that is from a Stampede Wrestling episode that is 2 episodes before the earliest existing television episode of Stampede Wrestling that we talked about in our first episode.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So this shows when the one of like a storyline, a part of a storyline that's kind of touched on in the thing there on those hidden gems. By the way, that last battle of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No.
Oh my God.
Is it good?
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. I recommend for those of us who do listen to the PTBN PWO network. The Titans of Wrestling talked about it right away, and they were just gushing about it. Cool. It's really something to see, and they say Kelly, and it's kind of echoed by the other guys. The only thing missing from it is commentary because it has been this long lost footage, and that could have really
you know me, Trev.
I
like no commentary. I like silence.
Okay, then you're really going to be blown away by this, man.
That's awesome.
It's really something. But yeah, there's that. I've
got a Bigfoot podcast coming out soon.
Yes.
I'll hit you with deets about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for those of us who have been for our follower, Mr. Charlton. No, we have a couple out there. I know on SoundCloud.
Maybe
we have some people who listen all the time and like us. It's going to be we've talked with like we said, Brad and Chad at Place to Be Nation. So you'll still be able to upload us for the first 3 or 4, and eventually. But we're still going to be available on Place to Be Nation as well for these first 3 or 4 this season, right? But eventually we'll be over there entirely to hopefully make the transition easy for all of you. You were looking up one last thing, Max?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, for sure. So, we'll give you some instructions on how to find us on Place to Be Nation soon. But for now, you're fine. You keep subscribing to us on YouTube in the same way you have before. You'll be okay. Next week, here's your preview. Killshot takes on Marty the Moth in the first Weapons of Mass Destruction match. We knew that was coming. Mm-hmm. Here's the kicker. The power of an Aztec amulet is revealed. Ooh, what could that be?
That's the kind of stuff I love.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Because we saw in that trailer, we didn't even talk about that trailer. Right? It just looked pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the set design looked pretty crazy. Some of the visuals, costumes look crazy. Sammy Callahan's character looks crazy.
I couldn't even pick him out in there.
Do you remember there's like guys like in all checkers? And stuff? That's Sammy Callahan's cool. Character. Looked really good.
Nice.
Really good. Yeah.
It's going to be good. All right, man. That's it. We'll catch everybody on the flip side.
We'll be here.
We'll be here next week.
The question is, will you join us?